Guys, welcome to Be Monthly Live. Thanks for joining us today. Good day, Bartlesville. I am Keith McPhail with my beautiful wife, Christy, and we're coming to you from our offices at Price Tower to premiere our February issue. And real quick, I just want to show the cover real quick. We're kind of excited about this issue. The last 4 weeks have been pretty emotional roller coasters for us up and down on this issue. We rolled the dice on this one, and what we did was we did Black History in the Ville, and we are so excited about this issue. 84 pages of just awesome Black history, and so many people that have been affected Bartlesville during the 30s, 40s, 50s, and through the racism and all the stuff that's going on. And we just wanted to put that out there, and because I think as a city we have to come together better, and we've got to talk about this history. I mean, because it's history that is good, and there's some bad history too. So what do you think about this issue? We
learned a lot. Basically learned how much we don't know, is what I feel like. But and learned so many connections. You know, that's one thing I love about our magazine is it causes conversations to happen between people that kind of don't happen anymore because everyone's on their cell phone or they're doing other things. But this caused me to even learn in my own family. Like, I didn't know that my mom knew Betteye Williams. I didn't know that. I mean, I thought everybody knows her because it's Betteye Williams. But then when my mom embraced her in a hug and knows Betty, and my mom knows Betty's mom, you know, when she was living, they had their connection, and you know, that stuff that makes Bartlesville so great in such a way, because there are so many connections between people. Once you talk and you start communicating with each other, you learn, oh yes, my family knew this family, and how we're connected, and how far back in the generations of the families that that we learned about. Of course, we went to school with the Nashes and the Chambers and the Ada. You know, there's a lot of things that we knew, but getting to know how they're connected in town, and
everybody's connected. It was crazy when we started digging into this thing. I mean, we were literally, I went through 3,500 pictures. I mean, 3,500.
Thanks to the Lowe's, because they put them on a CD for us, and we went through Boys and Girls Club pictures. We went to Westside Community Center pictures, and pictures that stood out to us, just because they're cool pictures. You know, what we found was they weren't documented.
No.
And so we're like, who is this? And so it was like a treasure hunt. And then as we uncovered more and more people, and then they got to tell the story of who that was.
Just like Ruthie Nash. When Miss Ruthie Nash was up here, we had some pictures come up on the TV screen, and it was her mom and dad, and she had never seen this picture of her mom and dad.
We didn't know who it was, and we were like, do you know this person? And then one was her brother, and one was her.
And she started crying.
As kids, awesome. So anyway, there was just a lot of fun things that we uncovered, and stories about not only Bartlesville, but Dewey.
Yes.
There's an amazing story about you know, some of these history stories revolve around sports and sporting events too that are neat and interesting, but the Dewey story talks about a fan and how they delayed a game because they wouldn't let the fan in because he was black, and how they fought for that, and then finally after a delayed game they let him in, and so I mean, that's another fascinating story that for us now is really hard to imagine. I don't. But it's good for us to know these and to tell these. I'm talking a lot.
No, you are talking a lot on this show. It's the Christy McPhail show.
Sorry, usually he hogs it. Okay,
we've got some stories on Ruth Brown, who was a librarian here in Bartlesville, who was actually fired because she was allowing the black students to come into the library. and Bill Pickett, who's a famous cowboy. We did a story on the Greater First Baptist Church, and we got a great show for you guys today. We got, of course, Miss Betteye Williams, who I think is Queen Betty. Let's just call her Queen Betty. And then we have Mr. Marty Lowe here, who is Joe Allen Lowe's son, one of the sons, and he was very heavily involved in the boys, and still today in the boys and girls club now. And then we have Greater First Baptist Choir. We have 6 members or 7 members from the choir. They are going to blow you away. They sound so good. So, and also too, as you know, it's February, so that is about love. And so, as you know, I love to write, and I love to write about this woman next to me. And I wrote a great love story. Of course, I can't find it now when I'm looking for it, but yeah, there it is right there. See, it's a great love story. It's 2 pages.
And this is 1986.
Right here, when we dated in high school and went to prom. So, look, we're so excited about this issue. We did have some issues with this one, and we're getting it reprinted. The quality didn't come out like I wanted or like we wanted, and so it's going to be Monday before the magazine's out. This is our 22nd issue. This will be the first time that we're late getting our magazine out. But the quality
We could get the magazine out, but it wouldn't look right, so we're not going to give it to you. No. So you can go online and look at the cover after we post this. Yeah. We'll have the cover out there for you to appreciate, but we're all about
quality. We think this is the best city magazine in the state of Oklahoma, and we want you guys to be proud of it just like we are. And so we're going to have that reprinted, and they will be out Monday afternoon. So what else? Really this issue for us, it goes to our heart, because these are our friends, and these people worked for your family, and we got to know them. They are family. They're our families, and I hope everyone reads each one of these stories. We did a tribute on sweet little Earlene Thompson, who took care of Christy's family for over 45 years, and she was a grandmother to you, basically. And so that was a really good story, and we just think this is going to make history. We do, and we think this magazine's going to open up eyes to a lot of things that were good and bad.
And we hope that it causes some good conversations between families and generations. So read it, tell us what you think, and we should go.
Yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have Greater First Baptist Choir come in and sing some songs.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right, that's all right. Long as I know I got a seat in the kingdom, that's all right, that's all right. That's all right, that's all right. That's all right, that's all right. Long as I know I've got a seat in the kingdom, that's all right, that's all right. Talk about me as much as you please. The more you talk, I'm going to stay on my knees. Long as I know I got a seat in the kingdom, that's all right, that's all right. Maybe hard running this old race, but I am determined to see. Long as I know I got a seat in the kingdom, that's all right.
I just got so excited about that. I got goosebumps all over me. I love that. Scott, thank you so much. Hey, real quick, why don't you introduce everybody real quick?
Okay, singing soprano, we have Sonia Bajette, we have Charlotte Johnson. On tenor, we have Bobby Dodd, Brett Price, I'm so sorry. We have Gwen Roberts, and
Oh,
Coming
Renee,
in
come on,
at the
Renee.
bottom.
Oh, Renee the Hall right here. Hey, we thank you guys so much. That's so awesome. I still got goosebumps all over me.
Thank you for having
Oh
us.
my gosh! Thank you for all you guys do for this community. We appreciate you. You and your husband are just awesome. We love your
great.
church.
Thank
We love
you.
coming.
Thank you.
And we'll be there.
Come
someday.
visit us, Great First Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Okay,
Thank you.
we're going to go over and talk to Mr. Marty Lowe. Well, we.
That get your heart going.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so good for us. Well, we worked with your brother too last year when we did the Boys and Girls Club issue, and we met you over here at the MLK breakfast the other day, and
That was great.
oh my gosh, what you said, what you spoke about. Well, the history your family has here. Your dad was one of the founders of the Boys Club back then. It was. So if you want to talk a little bit about that, just kind of what your life experiences were during that time.
Well, yeah, my dad was the first executive director of the Boys Club. At that time, just Boys Club. Was kind of a brainchild of H.C. Price here in the Price Tower.
Yes.
He had seen a Boys Club in Arizona and brought the idea back here. And so that's kind of the genesis of how the Boys Club started.
So there was just one in Arizona, and that's it.
No. I think there were several, but he just happened to see one. I think in Scottsdale. Whatever.
Wow.
But when the Boys Club was started here, it was the first one in the whole state of Oklahoma. First in 1954 is when that started, and I started attending there in '56. I was an 8-year-old, and
I love it.
so yeah, I go back a few years with the Boys Club.
Almost the start.
Yeah. Well, we actually did get to go over there some with him, but not really participating in any of the programs and stuff, but knew the kids and stuff over there. But it was a great opportunity to be with kids that we didn't see, they didn't go to our grade school or learn in our neighborhoods and stuff. So, and I still have friends that I made in 1956 that I'm still friends with today, and you know, and it's one of those things. There are some people that you see that are acquaintances or whatever, and you know, hi, how are you doing? But these are guys that whenever we see each other, we give each other a big hug and check up on what's going on with the families and everything. So it's
I loved the story you told about your basketball team and that situation. Didn't know if you wanted to share a little bit.
No, sure, I'll be happy to do that. This was in 1964, in early 1964, and I was a 9th grader at Central Junior High School at that time, not middle school, but and we played a basketball game against Claremore, and after the game over there, we stopped at a local cafe to get a bite to eat before we came back home. And we went in and sat down and we're looking at the menus, and a man came over and motioned to our coach who was with us and said, hey, you know, wanted to talk to him. And when the coach came back, he said, guys, we can't eat in the main room here. And I guess I skipped the front part. Is there were four of us players. There were 2 white players and 2 black players, and basically what it was they didn't serve black people in their restaurant. And at that time, all they had to do was post a sign in the front door that said we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone, and regardless of reason. Right. And so we ended up, but the coach when he came back, he said, my teams all eat together. And he was a full-blood Native American, and so, like I said in the talk, I'm pretty sure he had felt this thing of discrimination in his life, and I think was trying to use it to teach us, you know, the white kids that didn't have to bear that burden, that, you know, hey, you know, there are folks that don't get some of the things you do, and you need to appreciate it and maybe work for it. But anyway, we ended up eating in a back room, and you know, so but anyway,
They stayed as a team.
But you stayed together. That's kind of a life lesson I think your coach taught you too. You know, you stick together through the hard times. You stick together because it's not always going to be easy every day.
Yep.
Well, and I think you said, like the other guys, they didn't say anything. They didn't.
They didn't make any comments at the time, but I'm sure it bothered him. I mean, it bothered me. It was
Right.
like, why? I probably was more confused than anything else because it was just, I didn't understand why
going to a
it was
different
happening.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, and I think that's such a great, testament to you as a person, but also to the coach. And, I'm sure it's a memory that was in all of y'all's mind.
Well, you remember how it was here. Blacks would go in and get a Coke, but they couldn't sit in there and drink it. They had to leave. Yeah. So, Betty's going to talk about that too a little bit. So,
Yeah, and like I also mentioned at the time when I was growing up, there weren't black members at the YMCA. They didn't. There was no sign that said blacks aren't allowed, but there just weren't any black.
It was like an unspoken.
They were discouraged, shall we say?
yes.
So
yes.
hard to imagine now, which I'm thankful for. That our kids haven't really. When we tell these stories to our 12-year-old, she's just gives you this look like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Because I don't think they teach that enough in school. I don't think they teach history like they used to in school. And that's why I do so much history in this magazine, because a lot of teachers use that in their classrooms. And because it's great local history here. And so, your dad was an amazing man. The more I read about him, the more just the things he did for this community is unbelievable. And we could do feature stories on him month after month. Just a great man.
Great example.
And you and your brother. And you got 3 brothers.
3. I have an older brother and 2 younger brothers.
Yeah. Well, you guys are awesome. We are so glad that we finally got to meet you at the MLK and got to hear that story in your speech and become friends. And we're going to do a lot of stuff together in the future.
Hope so.
And yes, we
Now you know
will.
where to find us.
Now you know where to find us. And we just thank you so much for all you do for Bartlesville and all your family has done for Bartlesville. And you getting back into the Boys and Girls Club and helping those guys out. And the West Side Community Center. And so they all appreciate all the stuff that your brothers and you do. So we thank you so much, Marty.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much for coming.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Betty Williams. Now, for all who don't know Betty Williams, you've got to read her story in this issue that we did.
Just tells a little bit.
Oh my
about
gosh, your life story. First thing I want to know is, when did you move to Bartlesville?
We moved to Bartlesville. My husband, myself, and 2 daughters moved here in 1955,
1955.
November of 1955.
Wow.
And how many of your daughters were represented here
3,
in the choir?
3 of them.
Yes.
3 of them.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
she's representing.
Now, one of the things too that happened here, and I'm sure you saw a lot of racism here when you moved here, and it just burns me to no end. Get so mad thinking about it. But you were one of the first black women to work for Phillips Petroleum Company, and you want to kind of tell that story, how that happened? But you really didn't want to.
I really didn't want to work at Phillips. I was working for 5 different families, and I loved working for the families and the children. Each day I would get up and get my kids settled with the babysitter, because there was no nursery for them.
Right.
I had a friend that came in and kept them all day, and I was working for $1 to $1.50 an hour, 8 hours a day, but I liked it. It was good. And Phillips advertised wanting people to do telephone surveys, because now we always go and we serve ourselves, but self-service was not a thing. So they had run an ad for people to do telephone surveys, beginning at 6 o'clock in the evening, all the way across America till midnight. We'd end up talking to people on the West Coast. I interviewed and got a job doing that. And I worked at that for probably 6 months. And the job ended, and I was still happily doing my day work, because I would go and work at the different homes 5 days a week, and then from 8 till 5, and then at 6 I would go to Phillips and make phone calls.
For 6 more hours.
For 6 more hours, yes.
So you didn't get a lot of sleep, did you?
It was a work. It was a job, and I enjoyed it. And I remember Harry Easter hired me. He called me and had me interview, and I got a job working at Phillips. And I said, I don't type. I know nothing about office work. And so I was sent to school at Maud Gorman's Success Secretarial School.
Wow.
I was a hit.
Of course you were.
I could type 29 verses, and it was not a mistake. And I was hired. There were 6 of us. At that time, W.W. Keeler was the CEO, and he decided that we would have a work-study program. At that time in Bartlesville, there was one black engineer, and Shirley Wise was the only black secretary in the company.
Really?
In Bartlesville.
Right.
There were people in other places, but not in Bartlesville.
Not the headquarters.
Not the headquarters.
Wow. Wow. And that was in 1956. You went to.
No. It was a long story before I got to be hired by Phillips. It was in '66 before this happened.
Okay.
And I was hired permanently in 1968. I was hired as a clerk in employee relations, and most of my career was in employee relations.
How long did you end up working for Phillips?
For 28 years.
28 years.
Yes, I retired in 1995.
Wow.
Loved it. I went there thinking I'm going to be in here for 2 years, and after 2 years I'm going back to doing catering or something else.
Mm-hmm.
But then it became a career, a lifetime
Oh,
was
yes.
actually there.
And what a great career you had there too. And people talk about you all the time up there, Phillips. So now, let's talk a little bit about not growing up here in the '60s when it was racism was pretty high right there before the.
Well, I was an adult when I moved to Bartlesville.
Okay.
So.
How old were you when you moved here? 20?
I was way about 20.
2 kids. So
But yeah,
because I know you were very active in.
I was
several
active
groups.
in the NAACP. I was with Westside Community Center, with the PTA at Douglas, because Douglas had gone through the transition, and it was then a grade school. My kids were in grade school there. 2 of them were anyway. But the biggest thing that happened when we moved here, we couldn't find a house to live in because no one would rent to blacks. And people don't realize it, but there was like a barrier or a 10 or 12 block area where only blacks lived. And that on the east, it was bound by the railroad track and Santa Fe. And on the north, it probably went as far as 4th Street. On the south, it went to 10th Street. And then on the west to Busey and just beyond Busey. So we were all there.
Just a square.
Just a square. And in that area, there were teachers, doctors, lawyers, many professional people that worked in the school system. But they all were moving out by the time I came here.
Wow.
We could not find a house to rent in 55. We lived at 717 South Rogers. And Christy loves to hear me tell this because it was a little shotgun house. We had a living room, a bedroom, a kitchen without indoor plumbing, and a small bedroom for my girls. There was no bathroom. But we were just thrilled to find a house because
Roof over your head, yeah.
The facilities, there was the little house with the alley, the back where you understand.
Yes.
To bathe, we had a great big brown tub that we bring in and fill with hot water. There was no indoor plumbing in our house. The hydrant was in the front, so we had buckets of water that we'd bring in and heat to bathe, to eat, to cook, or whatever.
And what makes it worse is you came from a house
and
that you had indoor plumbing. And then you
yeah,
moved
when
here
I
and you don't
moved
have
here
it.
from Okmulgee, I moved from a house that had indoor plumbing and was right on Woods Drive, which is Highway 75 as it goes through Okmulgee now.
Wow.
And so it was different. And I lived in a total black community there, but the facilities were so much better.
Right.
And opportunities were better there.
Wow.
But it was interesting, and I knew I had to stay here at least 2 years. That was my thinking. We'll be here 2 years, and then we'll move on.
Right.
And so my husband died here in 86, and I'm here still.
Well,
50 plus years, and I'm
we're
still
so
here.
grateful that you're still here. My gosh.
But my employment with Phillips was exciting, because after I settled in and knew that I wasn't going to be a secretary because I couldn't type,
Right.
and I could write brief forms and do great shorthand, but I was better at talking than I was at anything else. So I was allowed to be one of those in human resources, work with Maxine Hawks and Harry Easter, and just any number of people that I met. And as W.W. Keeler started the work-study program and brought 6 of us in. We went to school for 6 months, and then we're all hired temporarily as secretaries, but it started in the mailroom.
That's where Boots Adams started.
Started in the mailroom, but we had to dress like secretaries. We wore heels, we were dressed professionally, and if you can imagine walking the floors of the various buildings in high-heel shoes, dressed to the nines.
Well,
And the thing that I tell so many of the young people that I meet that work at Phillips now, I said, oh, you're so fortunate. The bell doesn't ring to tell you to go to work. And because the bell would sound at 8 o'clock, and you had to be seated at your desk or on your way to your first delivery at 8 o'clock when that bell rang. It rang at 12 for you to go to lunch. It rang at 1 for you to begin again, and it rang at 5 for you to go home.
You work by the bell.
We worked by the bell.
I'll be darned.
And so
That's awesome.
all things have changed. A
From top
lot
to
has
bottom,
changed.
yes.
Yeah. Well, we're so excited. We've got so much in our magazine about the Black history here in Bartlesville, and
we could learn so much more from
Oh,
you. We're just going to keep you as a resource. Is that okay?
That's okay. That's okay.
because there's been many things written about you over the years, and we studied and we dig deep. And Debbie Neese at the History Museum just filled us up with all kinds of stuff. We are blessed that you are here in our presence, and we just thank you for all you've done for Bartlesville.
Yes.
And all the changes, and your kids have grown up to be successful, and it's just an honor to meet you and to be called your friend.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
It's my privilege.
Wow.
Well, we know that you made an impact on the community, and
Yes.
we, just like the Lowe's and all the other families, it's a blessing to see how everybody works and things, how it all plays out. We all can play a part.
Yes. Well, thank you again for being here, and you
do
just
it.
stay right here. You just stay right here. Hey guys, we want to appreciate all you guys for joining us today. Like I said, the magazines we're going to do some tweaking on it, so they won't be out till Monday after 2. So thanks for joining us. We love you guys. God bless, and have a great day.